So Dan DiDio, publisher, co-publisher, I suppose, of DC Comics, has been announced to be leaving. Certainly one of the most influential people in the industry for quite some time. How did he go? Why is he going? What does this mean in the future? Let's get you an immediate take. Hey everybody, this is Perch. Let me give you a quick take on this breaking news that Dan DiDio is out from DC Comics. For some perspective, so DiDio has been with the company since the early 2000s, 2001, 2002, as I recall. He was a VP, he had a lot of influence, and he was known as being let's say, a political player. He had sharp elbows, as the term goes, where he pushed himself up and up. And he would eventually be made kind of co-publisher, take a lot of authority, and lead the New 52 initiative, which was a big continuity reboot, massive change for the company, and extremely successful. Many people look at the New 52, they think about it as a disaster. They remember kind of the sad end of the New 52, and what they forget is that the New 52 for the company actually put DC on top of Marvel in terms of sales for more than a year, as I recall. It was very, very successful. DiDio was very active inside of comics. He was seen as the most influential, or if not, one of the most influential people in all of comics. And even though he was not with Marvel, he was a pretty big deal. So news breaks on Friday that he is out. And initially, the press came out that he was removed from his position. Now, removed is a pretty firm statement. It means you were not you do not leave by choice. They do not wish you best in your future endeavors. It means you were exited the company. They later then changed that to just say he's no longer with DC, which is the nicer way of saying you're out. He'd been in this role since 2010. This wasn't a removal of the role. Normally, when they want to preserve the person within the organization, they move them into a kind of a sideways position. Still with the same title, or kind of like with Jeff Johns, he went up and out, or just sideways and out, or wherever he went elsewhere. And this was not a going elsewhere. This was, he's no longer with DC. He's gone. So this removes him from Editorial. It does create a pretty big hole. Now, there's a lot of rumors about what this means, so I'm going to hit a couple of them. First off, Jim Lee were co-publishers. This means Jim Lee is now the publisher alone. Jim Lee is not a terribly political person. He's not somebody who has, the sharp elbows. DiDio was seen as somebody who really lobbied for his position and what he wanted, and had a very loud voice in the company. And Jim Lee had a much more passive, quieter voice. That quieter voice is now in charge. Jim Lee has also said many times he doesn't necessarily, want to be kind of the big boss. He finds himself kind of reluctantly holding that leadership. That's probably not the best way to describe it, but there's a difference in personality between the two. DiDio was pushing very hard, and in DiDio's mind, he was very firm on the idea that the continuity is too dense, too tricky. That's part of why he was going down this route with 5G, that he was going to straighten some things out, and he was going to clean up the continuity, because the continuity was a barrier to sales. Now, as I've done other videos, I don't believe at that point. I never have. I think that that's an excuse made for either poorly produced comics or comics that aren't marketed well or anything else. When you say, oh, it's because of continuity or comics are too complicated for people to understand, I think that's a way of covering up you're not producing comics people want. But DiDio was very, very firm on that. No, it's the continuity's fault. We got to clean it up. And he was pushing very hard for this rumored 5G. Now, 5G as an initiative is both something that I think was massively overstated by places like Bleeding Cool and others that want to make it a bigger deal than it is. 5G was intended, and as far as I know, still intended to be a short-term storyline, very similar to Age of Apocalypse, where titles would be canceled. There'd be a interruption while we explore the next generation, the future of DC characters. And in that light, I think 5G makes a hell of a lot of sense. You're basically going to kind of tease the waters with a bunch of new characters and new ideas, and the ones that are popular and stick, you stick around, and then you return life back to normal continuity after that, and there you go. 5G was always going to be a bit of a sell within AT&T because AT&T Time Warner are trying to build up their streaming library and their IP. And so, they're trying to bank on Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman and all the characters people know. They're not, their experiments with going outside of that box, either for Suicide Squad or more recently Birds of Prey, has not worked out well. So if you are saying, hey, we are going to come out with a brand new, set of characters nobody ever seen before, trying to paint the future. AT&T Time Warner probably going, hey, we want to see more stuff like death metal and and kind of the core things where we've got characters people recognize doing big things. That's what's going to sell for us. And so that's it's kind of crazy. In terms of timing, I'm in some Facebook groups that DiDio was posting to, this morning. I mean, like 4.5 hours ago. No, more than 6 hours ago. He was posting as a DC representative. So clearly this was a surprise. It's sudden. DiDio is scheduled to appear this weekend for the Meet the DC Publishers. He's obviously not going to. And so Jim Lee is going to have quite a fun time handling that one on his own. This is this is going to be interesting. He's got some current. I think he's currently working on Metalman. So where's that going to go? A lot of stuff is going to be shaken up. One thing I want to say absolutely clearly, without any kind of stretch of imagination, no. Just like C.B. Spolsky coming in when Axel Alonso was removed, this does not mean a brand new day and we're going to get perfect characters that everybody will love. Some characters you will continue to love. Some characters you will continue to hate. That's going to be true. No, it absolutely does not, under any circumstance, means that AT&T Time Warner are about to kill off DC, license all the IP out, sell it to Marvel, etc. That is not happening, period. Anyone who is on a video telling you that is a lunatic. You shouldn't be listening to it. Those people are jerks. Sorry. Just that don't listen to people who say stupid things or speculate on stupid things. The license and the money, even if you say, Birds of Prey was a huge disaster, hey, it's still making money. Shazam made money. Joker just made a lot of money. Wonder Woman is coming out here in a few months. It's going to make a lot of money. These things are not going anywhere. There's still plenty of work to be done. The comic business in general, with how much it produces and the revenue from the direct comic sales, is dwarfed by the IP and kind of what they're doing with their bigger plans. They are not going to shutter DC Comics the month before Wonder Woman, the movie, comes out, that they're expecting to make a lot this year, and it probably will. DC's finally starting to get its act together a little bit on its streaming and movie series. They are not going to blow it all up at this particular moment. Now, DiDio, I was not a fan of many of his moods or moves, I should say. I think he was not the best representative for DC. He was often came across as arrogant and dismissive. He had definite hardened opinions that I think were wrong and did not reflect the comics community. He was an excuse man. And I think within the company, he was, by far, he was a political player, and he did not play his politics nicely. I mean, there's George Perez has some terrible stories about kind of the way Editorial and his running of things went. And there's a lot of people who are going to be cheering today as a great thing for DC Comics. Will it be? Some things will be better, some things will be worse. The important thing is nothing is going to be different this weekend, next week, next month. Things are going to continue. Life's going to be interesting. It's interesting news. It's fascinating. Keep in mind, though, Kevin Feige was put in charge of Marvel's, publishing and everything else division. Several articles, including lots of big name YouTubers. I'm looking at you guys, outrage clowns. You were making the bold prediction when Feige came in. How many months ago was that now? Almost 6 months ago? Feels like almost 6 months ago. Maybe not quite that long. That Marvel Comics is about to be sold. It'll be over. Everything will change. All of the quote unquote woke stuff will go away. Hey, I don't know about you guys, but Empire and Outlaw and all that other stuff is going strong. So do not expect anything to be majorly different. Do expect some marketing confusion, and I would expect some other stuff to kind of trickle in, but nothing dramatic. It's not going to be a dramatic day. The interesting part in all this, I'll just leave it as this last little teaser, is that Dan DiDio was the person responsible for really pushing and bringing in Brian Michael Bendis and assigning him to a lot of titles. He was the big push there. A lot of other people within the company, from Snyder to King to Johns and everything else, were playing in their own little universe. And Bendis's arrival was definitely pushed by DiDio, supported by DiDio, aligned by DiDio. And I think whether you like Bendis or do not like Bendis, one thing I think that is true is that Bendis was given a lot of titles right out the gate. And I think that has hurt the quality, in my opinion. Maybe you're thrilled with everything he's done, but he's just on a lot. And I think anybody, the most amazing writer in the world, being on that much is a recipe for disaster, personally. I think he just overworks it. So what does this mean with DiDio now being out? He was one of the people who had Bendis's back, who was championing a lot of these efforts, a lot of these new people coming in. That has the potential to have some immediate effects that could be pretty interesting. If DC is smart, they will start to spread out the books and spread out the talent, put more money into Editorial, hire some more editors, for God's sake, do some more planning and coordination, and start to right this ship. That would be a wonderful outcome of this. But big news. What do you think of it? Were you a fan of DiDio? Hated DiDio? What's your feeling? Leave a comment below. Would love to hear your thoughts. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. And thanks for listening.